Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here. As always, got a great show for you today. Of course, more on the huge NBA and poker gambling scandal with Damon Jones and Chauncey Billups. And, of course, Mr. Rozier as well, down at the Miami Heat. But first and foremost, let's come out of the gate hard and strong, just the way I always do. That might be a little much, but I'm just talking about sports. That's all I'm talking about. Had a little football game last night.
Yes.
A little football game last night as the Chargers find the winning ways, get to 5-3 with a blowout 37-10 against the Minnesota Vikings. And just a couple things just real quick from the game. And then we'll do a lot of stuff, of course, on the gambling scandal and a huge weekend of NFL football as well. Number one, the best takeaway at all from the Chargers blowout win last night against the Minnesota Vikings, for me, is that when I woke up this morning, and it was the same, frankly, when I went to bed last night, once the Chargers won that game 37-10, when we all woke up this morning, Tyrone, we all woke up in a world where if the NFL season ended today, the Kansas City Chiefs would be on the outside looking in and would not be playing in the postseason.
That's tremendous. Woo! That's tremendous.
I'm telling you, I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. And the sports gods looked down upon me and they said, Craigie, this one's for you. Now, Kansas City plays Washington this weekend.
Yeah.
No Jaden Daniels.
Big favorites.
So there's still a segment of the sports gods that have a little bit of love for Kansas City, because this should have been a very tough game for them with Jaden on the field. No, Jaden should be a lot easier for Kansas City, whose offense is humming. But as we sit here today, as the blood courses through my veins and my arteries, it is a fact that today the Kansas City Chiefs are not a playoff team. Woo!
That's tremendous.
That's awesome. They're in 8th place right now. Only 7 teams get in to the postseason. So let's just enjoy that for a moment.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that there's a few more extra little drops of blood in the water, despite the fact that Kansas City's offense looks like it's cooking on all cylinders and will be a problem for a lot of teams moving forward. That's number one. Number two from last night, I usually don't talk a lot about broadcasters on the show, but every now and then something happens we have to acknowledge broadcasters.
Yeah.
And I've got a quick thought on both Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels, okay?
Yeah.
Which one do you want me to use first?
Let's go to Kirk Herbstreit.
All right, so
first.
Al Michaels first. I appreciate you saying that.
All right.
Al Michaels last night, when the Vikings lined up to kick a field goal, and that was about the only offense they had last night, Al Michaels made a point of acknowledging that the only kick the Vikings kicker has missed all year long was the kick during one of the European games. I think it was London. You could fact check me on that, where the ball clearly hit one of those camera wires, hit the wire, bang, the ball went off to the right, and it's the only miss the Vikings kickers had this year. We all watched it. We've all seen the highlight of it. It's not up for debate whether or not that ball in that game overseas hit a wire or not.
It definitely did.
See it with our own 2 eyes. Some of you have 4 eyes. You can see the ball hit the wire and then immediately change direction and not go through the uprights. We were good on that?
Yep.
Like, that's factual, right?
Absolutely.
Like, there's no arguing that. There's no, well, there's a Pruder film shows something else. We all acknowledge the ball hit a wire, right?
Yes.
So Al Michaels makes the point last night that the NFL reached out to him and said it didn't hit the wire. It was merely, their words, not mine, an optical illusion. Make sure you correct the mistake during last night's broadcast. And Al Michaels, who's been doing games for 50 years, is one of the Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame broadcasters, actually went on TV last night and acknowledged that the NFL Gestapo reached out to him and said, what your eyes told you saw, trust us, you didn't see it. The ball never hit a wire. It is a legitimate miss. We're not going to redo it or change the record books. And what we all saw, according to the NFL, was an optical illusion.
Come on,
man.
Come on. Cut it out.
I ain't buying the Brooklyn Bridge neither.
Right, cut it out. Cut it out. And I think they did it because that should have been a dead ball and a re-kick.
It should have been a dead ball re-kick. It wasn't. Look, c'est la vie. But the fact that they reach out and they make Al Michaels, correct himself. And he did it tongue-in-cheek last night, acknowledging how stupid it was. But the NFL wants you to believe that the ball did not hit the wire and it was an optical illusion. Furthermore, the NFL wants you to believe that they didn't call down to the referees in Detroit and take the Jared Goff touchdown away from the Lions. The NFL also wants you to believe that there were literally no penalties worthy of being called against Kansas City in that game. The NFL also wants you to believe they didn't try to give one back to the Lions with some of the officiating in the game against Tampa last week. The NFL also wants you to think that the $190 million they spent over the course of a decade on Washington, D.C. lobbyists fighting against the legalization of legalized gambling never happened.
Never happened.
And they've always been in favor of legalized gambling. Of course, it coincided with them getting a check for a couple $100 million. But no joke, the NFL spent over $100 million fighting the PASPA law, which legalized gambling, starting in New Jersey and in 38 states across the country. But no, we were never against gambling.
We love it.
We love it. We've always loved gambling.
Our partners. Yeah,
that's why we put out weather reports on Wednesdays and injury reports on Thursdays. Because we love gambling. We've always been in bed with gambling. And then number two, the other broadcaster I should mention, Kirk Herbstreit. This one's going to cause a problem with pet owners. I don't mean it to. I have a rescue dog named Deacon. I love my dog, one of the greatest dogs of all time. I've always said that one of the beauties of having dogs is that when they die, they're immediately replaceable. You just go get another one. And I don't want to diminish the love you have for the current dog, but when that dog dies, you get another dog. And you love that dog. It's the beauty of pet ownership, right? You can always have one, right?
Yeah.
And love transfers from one to the next. Someone's got to stop this Kirk Herbstreit. We don't care about your stupid dog. We don't. You force the damn dog on America. You're forcing the dog on your Al Michaels. You force the dog on ESPN people. Nobody. It's great. You have a golden retriever. You love your dog. Yeah, let him stay home. You fly a dog on a private jet and then complain about your travel from one game to another, and you throw a tennis ball down the hallway at a hotel, waking everybody up
I'd be so
that
mad.
your dog can get some exercise. We don't care about your freaking dog, A. B, if you love the dog that died so much, you wouldn't have pivoted within 24 hours and bought a new dog.
Hold on.
Which is my point, that's the beauty of dog ownership. But we had this whole big soliloquy and now tears coming down his face. Oh, I lost my best friend, Petey, whatever it was. And within a day, you got a replacement dog.
Got a brand new best friend.
Yeah.
Brand new best friend.
The last thing about Kirk Herbstreit, other than his obnoxious dog-loving stuff being forced down our throats, is what he said about Carson Wentz last night. Carson Wentz was playing with one arm.
Yeah.
And was writhing in pain on the sideline. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Kirk Herbstreit's like, man, you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
Like, the dude may lose his arm today, and in a blowout loss, which he shouldn't have been playing late in the fourth quarter, Kirk Herbstreit's like, you got to man up. Okay, sure. And a final thought on last night's game. Do I have time to do it?
Yeah.
I got time here? Yeah?
You got time.
All right, final thought on last night's game. And this is a story that should be viral and should be talked about from coast to coast. The Minnesota Vikings have always been regarded as having a really good front office, making really good draft day picks and also trades, et cetera, right? But I think we have to stop that now. And here's why. Because 6 months ago or so, maybe 7 months ago, the Minnesota Vikings had on their roster Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones.
Yes.
They were both under contract to the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings allowed Sam Darnold to go to Seattle. They're a playoff team and a team you don't want to face right now. And part of it's because of how great Sam Darnold is playing.
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones right now should be the front runner for MVP and comeback player of the year. And he's helming the best offense in all football and a one-loss Indianapolis Colts team that's going to win their division and is a dangerous squad, right?
Yep. And
the Vikings said no to Sam Darnold. They said no to Daniel Jones and instead said, we'll be better off with J.J. McCarthy, who has been benched, he's not hurt, and Carson Wentz. Why the general manager doesn't get fired for that alone is a mystery that'll never be solved. But you had two of the top quarterbacks in football today on your roster. You let them both walk for Carson Wentz and J.J. McCarthy? The Vikings will never win a Super Bowl. Lots coming up. It's the Craig Carton Show. Good morning, everybody. All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyron Johnson here. He's got picks coming up a little bit later on this hour and has had mostly winning weeks. Last week, took a little nose turn, but I'm sure he'll be back with some winners for you later on. Speaking of making picks, obviously the story of the year is this gambling scandal in the NBA. Chauncey Billups, who now they're telling about Chauncey Billups, it wasn't just allegedly a rigged card game. Now they're also claiming that he let people know that the Trailblazers were going to tank a game. I think it was a couple years ago, late in the season, and they got blown out by like 30. So now they are tying him to fixing the outcome, or at least letting gamblers know what the Trailblazers were going to do. I should be very careful about that. That's not fixing a game. That's letting people know what your plan is for a game.
Right.
And they did lose the game that is in question here. Obviously, Damon Jones, who's a player and then on some coaching staffs, he's now being accused of letting dudes know when LeBron James was going to miss a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. It's all alleged, of course, but the FBI seems to have people willing to corroborate this, and it'll play itself out either in court or with plea bargains. And then, of course, the big one, Terry Rozier, who's on the final year of a $96 million contract as a 10-year vet, was going to probably get another contract for buku bucks if he had a good year. And the claim with him is that he told a bunch of dudes, bet the under on my personal performance. And then dudes racked up about $200,000 of wins on that information. One of the stories now, again, alleged, is that in the game that he pulled himself out of with an alleged foot injury, that he actually left the arena, went to meet up with his buddies once the bet cashed to split the money with them to get his share.
What?
That's the story, again, alleged.
Yeah.
But that is one of the storylines here, that it wasn't just I'm helping buddies out and I can control the outcome of my personal stats by removing myself from the game.
Yeah.
So all the unders cover. One of the stories, because I was reading the entire indictment, is that he's alleged to have, as soon as the game was over, left the arena, met up with the conspirators who were gambling on that information to split up the dough.
So he just wanted, even though he's making big money.
That's what I want to be clear.
Allegedly, he wanted to quick another $100,000.
That's what they're saying.
Come on.
Yeah. Look, here's what's happening now. Everyone's going to deny any involvement with it, and then at some point they're all going to be approached with an opportunity to plea out.
Yeah.
And that plea bargain is going to be based on, are you willing to share information with us? Because there's always someone bigger that they want to go get. There's always more celebrities, if possible, that they want to embarrass and go get. This is the tip of the iceberg. So in the last 24 hours, and I can talk to you about this through experience, right? You know, one of the reasons I went to trial and lost is I wasn't willing to, rat anybody out. I also didn't have any information really about anybody else. But the answer was, F you.
10 toes down.
I'll take my shot at trial. And to be fair, I was never offered a plea bargain, right? But they always ask the question of your lawyer, you got anything for us? And the answer was F you. No, I got nothing for you. And I lost the trial, and it cost me a lot of money and ultimately my freedom and all that. Here's what's happening. In a lot of cities in America right now, there are a lot of really worried people. Because if you've done something wrong, if you're involved at any level of what happened and came out yesterday, and now you're looking over your shoulder. Now you're concerned about, what do they have on me? And if they don't have anything on me, at what point does Chauncey, does Damon, or Terry, the three guys that are NBA related at least, at what point do those guys panic and rat me out? That is happening across the country right now. Guys that played in those poker games. Guys that may have benefited, if this is all accurate, from any inside information. Guys that may have had their own scams going on, and those three guys are just hip to it. People whisper loudly in locker rooms. It's already come out in all these videos. Guys were aware of the Chauncey poker game that was allegedly rigged. Back in 2023, there were dudes in the poker world talking about it, that they refused to play in the game because they knew something fishy was going on. So on one hand, you have a lot of people that are sweating right now because they're going to get outed. And they're going to try to figure out, do I come clean now? Do I make a deal? Do I do something? Or do I wait and cross my fingers and hope that nobody ever mentions my name? The other side now is all four major North American sports leagues are contemplating, well, what can we do to try to avoid this? So the first answer is an easy one, and the answer is nothing. Because It doesn't matter what rules you put in place to a certain level. It doesn't matter how much education you provide the players to a certain level. If a dude's in a bad spot, if a dude is desperate, if a dude has issues going on that are out of his control, it doesn't matter how smart he might be, he's going to be forced into a bad situation. There are going to be more gambling scandals in all 4 sports, period, stop. There are guys currently actively betting on their sport right now, whether you want to admit it or not. So there's another scandal coming. And that's a fact. So I came up with what I think is a couple of easy solutions to the sports gambling dilemma. Number 1, active athletes in all 4 major sports should not be allowed to market or endorse a sports book. And a bunch of them do.
Yeah.
You know, LeBron's got DraftKings, I think it is, right?
Yeah, Curry has one.
A lot of the big name athletes in this country endorse wagering sites.
Yeah.
That should be stopped today. If you're actively participating in professional sports, you should not be allowed to endorse a sports book, number 1.
Easy.
Number 2, as of right now, athletes are allowed to wager on every sport other than their own. Well, let's just stop that. If you are a professional athlete that is on an active roster or a minor league, you should not be allowed to wager on any sport. Like, who's really going to fight back on that? I'm giving you the chance to earn generational wealth, and the only caveat is you just can't wager while you're playing.
Yeah, I don't think they fight that, honestly.
NBA players can bet on NFL games. NFL players can bet on NBA games. Mm-hmm. And you act like these guys don't have relationships crossing sports? So that's the second thing I would do. You can't bet on anything. And to further that, NBA officials, this is an example, are not allowed to wager on any sport. They can't even walk into a casino during the season.
Yeah.
The only thing they're allowed to do in the offseason is bet on the horses. That's the only wagering refs are allowed to do. Number 3, prop wagers should be limited to starters only. You should cap the amount you could bet on prop wagers. And I toyed with this idea. No under wagers anymore.
Whoa.
You can only wager on the over. Because as a player, the only thing I can control is the under.
Right.
I can't guarantee you that I'm going to hit the over on a specific prop. So I would stop taking any action on the under. It's over bets only.
There, you would get pushback there on that one.
Probably,
yeah.
But not from the players.
No,
not from the union.
From the league.
You'd get it from gamblers.
Yeah.
Gamblers would be like, wait a minute, I'm an over-under better. I want to bet the unders. No more under betting at all.
And the books.
You can only bet on the overs. You cannot bet on the unders. And the last thing, this would be the toughest one, and we'll get into more in depth. I would eliminate in-game wagering today. I'll explain why right after this. Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. I don't want to be remiss and focus only on the gambling. I do want to acknowledge one thing real quick. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry is the man.
42,
What?
42.
He's 37 years old, dropped a 50-footer to go to overtime last night, had 42 points. Golden State goes to 2-0, and Steph Curry is him.
Yes, he is.
And he's got some biceps this year, too. As much as we take it for granted, we got to stop taking that dude for granted.
Yes.
I know he's not the greatest player of all time. He's in the conversation as a top 5 player of all time.
Yes, he is.
He's the greatest shooter of all time.
Yes, he is.
But Steph Curry has still got ice in them veins and dropped a 50-foot jump shot to go to overtime last night.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, SGA dropped a double nickel last night in double overtime.
Double overtime twice already.
Yep, as the Thunder go to 2-0, but there were 2 great games in the NBA last night. I know they're overshadowed by the gambling scandal, and rightfully so.
Right.
But, man, we are off to a great start on the court with the NBA. Knicks are undefeated. Your Sixers are undefeated. And Steph Curry is stupid.
He is. And real fast, just credit to Aaron Gordon, only because
Aaron Gordon had 50 last night, too.
He went 10 for 11 from 3. This is a guy that used to not be able to shoot. He went 10 for 11 from 3 in the loss, but 50 points. So,
and unfortunately, no one's going to talk about it because of the scandal.
Yeah.
But we have been blessed, 3 days in with some amazing basketball. And I love watching Steph Curry. It's my son's favorite player. I woke up to a text today. I told you he's the best. I'm like, Sonny, I got you. about you? I'll mention it today. But a great night. 2 dudes over 50.
Yeah.
Overtime games, double overtime games. Yeah. It has been a really great start outside of the scandal. Let me just finish the thought.
Yeah, number 4.
I think number 4, I think this is the biggest issue that will get kicked back on. Eliminate in-game wagering.
Yeah.
Like in-game wagering, it's a vanity play anyway. No one grew up making in-game wagers because you couldn't until the advent of online wagering and all the sports books online on your phones and whatnot. Just get rid of it. Because online wagering lends more to players being keenly aware of their over-unders and trying to help people win money or their friends win money or avoid losing. So just get rid of it. Yeah, gamblers will be pissed. They'll yell and scream, and then they'll go back to gambling. That's what gamblers do. They gamble.
Yeah.
All right? So I would get rid of in-game wagering. The last thing is not so much an issue for the leagues. It's an issue for ESPN. Because ESPN has the largest audience of all the sports networks out there. So, credit to them for that. But, ESPN, a lot of people didn't pay attention to this story, is now partially owned by the NFL. Yeah. The NFL owns 10% of ESPN. And if you don't think the NFL is going to demand certain journalistic responses that benefit the NFL, you're wrong. They have a seat at the table now, so they can dictate how their sport is covered. But here's the problem. ESPN has a deal with Penn Gaming to run ESPN Bet. It's the most underperforming sports book of all time. They have about 3% of the total market share, and it's an absolute disaster for them and the billions of dollars Penn spent to partner with ESPN once they left their Barstool deal. ESPN needs to divest immediately from ESPN Bet, and here's why. The NFL owns a piece of ESPN, meaning by default, they own a piece of the sports book. Well, you can't have it both ways, because if the NFL benefits from you losing your wager, then they're incentivized to control the outcome of games because it means more money in their pockets.
Yes.
Meaning they have a financially vested interest now in you losing whatever wager you make on NFL games. Meaning it's more likely for someone to say, hey, if there's $1 gazillion on Team X to cover, it's in our best interest that they don't cover. Make sure the referees call a game a certain way.
Yes.
Now, I'm taking liberties there, of course, but that's the problem. When you want people to never question your integrity, you can't own a piece of a sports book, and they do.
They do.
And they own a piece of the NFL. So number one, ESPN should get out of the gambling business. They should not own a sports book, and they do. It's called ESPN Bet. Number two, if you're an on-air personality at ESPN, you should not be allowed to market picks or suggest people follow your picks, because as an employee of now the NFL, you have access to inside information. Your employer does better when they make more money, giving you a chance to make more money. So you're now vested in people following your picks and losing.
Would this apply to college as well? Because game day, it's a big part of game day
yes,
now.
College. I mean, you shouldn't be allowed to market gambling to college anyway.
I mean, they do it heavy on game day
and now
now.
College is letting athletes wager on pro sports, which is stupid. And I want to be clear. This isn't a perfect solution, but it's the start of one. And those are, to me, the 4 or 5 things that can happen today. Like, this could happen today, and we'd be in a safer place from gambling scandals than we are right now. But don't think for a minute this is the end of it. I believe this is just the beginning of it. And I think once the FBI decides to sniff around, which they've been doing since 2023 in this, the sniffing doesn't stop with the first indictment or arrest. The sniffing continues because there are bigger players involved. And sadly for those people, we're all going to know their names and what they're involved with in very, very short order. Coming up, DeMaurice Smith, the former executive director of the NFLPA, waxes poetic on a lot of stuff. You're not going to want to miss it. Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here. He can give you his thoughts on a couple games this weekend coming up in just a little bit. You guys remember DeMaurice Smith, a personal friend of mine. He's the guy that gave me the license to make Band-Aids with every NFL player's likeness on it.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so I've known him a very, very long time. I no longer have those rights because I got in trouble. But anyway, sat down with him yesterday to talk about all things NFL. And, one of the big stories in the NFL is the ongoing scandal and the lawsuit between John Gruden and the NFL. Supreme Court in Nevada, allowed that case to continue. So the next step would either be a settlement or some type of discovery, which the NFL will never allow. But what came out in those emails that were released were some really nasty racial epithets that John Gruden used in talking about and describing DeMaurice, who is an African-American. And among a lot of things that we talked to him about yesterday, I asked him about his feeling when he read those disgusting comments in the John Gruden email, and then how other African-American broadcasters and former coaches, most notably Mike Tirico and Tony Dungy, who he's known for a long time, responded to what John Gruden said about DeMaurice in those emails. Give it a quick listen.
When the Gruden thing happened, and then, I happened to be watching that Monday or Sunday night football game, I guess it was. Yeah, it was Sunday night football.
It was.
Man, you have two choices.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Man,
yes.
We come from that two choices. One, you're going to get your card pulled.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the other one, man, say nothing.
Right. Just be silent.
Just
be silent.
And so when, I'm going to combine them all, but when the narrative from those guys was, well, he's never been racist to me. I was like, well, when did racism become selfish?
Right.
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 Yeah, it's like, well,
they didn't sick the dogs on me.
Yeah, wait,
they sucked the dogs on you.
On you.
Not on me.
You had two choices. Yeah. And so, where I grew up, man, I can revert quickly, as we would say. And I thought that those guys in that moment, you would hope that they would say the right thing. They said the wrong thing.
Yep.
And when the other choice was say nothing, man, how did you get both of it wrong? And to me, I just think that kind of where we are, I've always dug your show because, man, you're just going to say it straight, right?
It's the only way I know how to do it.
Well, and there's a certain level of morality and integrity to that. And in this business, it's a great business. It's crazy.
Sure.
But man, there are so many people who just don't want to be stand-up people.
Yeah, if you want to hear the entire interview, it's about an hour long. It's a podcast exclusive. He also wrote a book called Turf Wars. It's DeMaurice Smith talking about his tenure over the course of almost 2 decades running the NFL. PA talks about Colin Kaepernick. We talked about Bountygate, Deflategate, Spygate, all the gates. We talked about all of it. And his opinion of Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
I also referenced the owners essentially as sharecroppers and slave owners. So if you want to check that out, I recommend it. I also recommend the book. I read it cover to cover. A really, really well done book, and proud to call DeMaurice a friend for a very, very long time.
Yes, and absolutely everybody should check it out. That podcast, or also on YouTube's podcast exclusives available right after you finish this program. You can switch right over to that and consume all of that.
Awesome. All right, so listen, other NFL stuff we have to get to today. There's a big game this weekend, and it's weird because if you had said this to me a few months ago, I would have been like, no, man, I'm pumped for it. I want to see it. I'm all about it. It's Aaron Rodgers playing against the Green Bay Packers. So it's Pittsburgh and Green Bay, right? Yeah. And this is not, look, every game is great in theory. It's not the greatest weekend of games. And, there's only like 3-4 o'clock games this week. Like, they spread them out. I used to love the 4 o'clock window. I don't love it as much because you don't get as many games.
I agree.
And there aren't as many good games at 4 o'clock. But there was a point in my life where if you told me that I'm getting Aaron Rodgers going up against the Green Bay Packers, I'm all in for it. And a couple years ago, I would have been all in for it. Like if the Jets had played the Packers, year one of Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau, man, that would have been awesome. Huge. Like must-see TV.
Yep.
But of course, he gets hurt, so it never happens, right? But I don't really care all that much. Wow. I'm not a Packer fan. I'm not a Steeler fan.
Right.
So maybe that's part of it. I also find it interesting, and you tell me if I missed it. If I did, I will own that. If guys downstairs, if you've seen it, tell me that I'm totally out of touch. I'll accept that on this one issue. I don't even see people playing it up that much.
No, you're right.
Like
you're right about
this.
That.
This is like, if Joe Montana with Kansas City went back to San Francisco, we'd be all about it.
That's a big deal.
Right? It was like, I hate to say this, but when Russell Wilson played that first game against Seattle, we were all about it.
That was a big game.
And I know it's 3 years later, and that's probably got something to do with it. And now Aaron's on another team, so it's not just the one team he left Green Bay for. That's probably got something to do with it. But I also think this has something to do with it. I think we're tired of him. I think we've reached our saturation point with Aaron Rodgers. We respect him, a Hall of Famer, greatest Packer of all time. A lot of people think the greatest thrower of the football in the history of the NFL, 4 MVPs, only the 1 Super Bowl ring. But I think we got oversaturated with him where he's revealed so much of his personality and none of it's likable.
Yeah.
So the fact that Pittsburgh is playing Green Bay, I'm sure in Green Bay it's a big deal. I'm sure Pittsburgh, the rallying is, let's win this for Aaron against a team that turned their back on him. I'm sure that's part of it. But for me as a football connoisseur, I want to watch it because they're 2 good teams and they're both playoff teams. The whole Aaron Rodgers versus Green Bay thing,
I agree with you, but it should be a big game. But I agree with you. I think it's his fault. I think you're completely right. I don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I know too much.
Yeah, maybe he's a guy you would have a beer with. I don't see him that way.
Does he drink beer?
I don't think he's a bad guy.
Yeah, but right, he's not a criminal.
I think he's probably more like our producer Ethan, like an apple martini dude.
He's not going to drink beer.
Maybe he goes like my wife now, espresso martinis for everyone.
Oh, he loves those.
Maybe.
He loves those. There's no way he doesn't love them.
I'm good with the drug use. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that if you're really going for solitude, you don't bring a camera crew with you when you're going to vomit in Costa Rica.
Yeah, he went to a cave, but then he brought a crew with him for the cave.
Yeah. So it's weird. And the other thing about Aaron Rodgers that I thought was interesting from a Jet perspective this week was it came out yesterday that the Rooney family, owners of the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin have already expressed, and we're only into week 8 now, right? That we want him back next year. If he wants to keep playing football, we will do a deal whenever he wants. We want Aaron Rodgers for another year. We've been thrilled with everything that dude has done on the field and off. And to be fair, he's playing really good football.
He is.
All right, he's maybe not MVP football, but he's playing really good football. And they've already expressed publicly, if he wants to keep playing, he plays right here. We ain't letting him go, which is awesome, right?
Yeah, should make him feel welcome, feel good.
But it reminded me, again, while Minnesota said no to Sam Darnold, said no to Daniel Jones, and yes to J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz, the New York Jets said no to Aaron Rodgers and yes to Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor.
Was that bad?
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad? Oh, I was just checking. Is that bad?
It's just a reminder that there's not a lot of teams that operate year after year with some level of competency. Like the dude in Minnesota is very well thought of. I always block on his name because it's hard for me to pronounce. Please give it to me so I get it right. But this year, that guy, how do you say it?
No. It's I can't pronounce
It's hard to say, right?
Yes.
But dude has been well thought.
By and large, he's done a good job.
Yeah, people think that dude's a really good, talented general manager.
Yes.
But that's the same dude that said no to Sam Darnold, top 5 quarterback in the NFC, said no to Daniel Jones, playing better than any quarterback in the AFC right now, and yes to J.J. McCarthy, who's been benched because he can't play, and old man Carson Wentz. Yeah. That ain't a good way to keep your job. And it just reminded me, while Minnesota's going through that, the New York Jets said no to Aaron Rodgers and a team that we all agree is very competent and hasn't had a losing season in 20 years. They've already said, we want Aaron Rodgers back for another year. And you wonder why certain teams can never win.
That's a good point. By the way, his name is Casey Adogo Mensu.
Mensu, okay.
Mensu.
Let's just go with Mensu.
Mensu.
Easier for me, easier for
Mensu,
you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw that. And yes, I'm going to watch Pittsburgh Green Bay, obviously.
Yeah, Sunday
I'll
night.
red zone it or something or YouTube it. But
I think that's
just
Sunday
don't.
Night.
Oh, is it Sunday night?
Yeah, it's Sunday night.
I don't have, I want it. And I just can't manufacture it. I can't make it happen. Wish I could. I can't. Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here as well. Some news and notes as we get into the weekend. Not as great a college football card as last week when you had all those top 25 matchups. But Urban Meyer That's right. Urban, I'm about to be investigated. I've got a heart problem. The investigation's over. My heart got cured. Urban Meyer was spotted.
Was his hand in another woman's pants or no?
No, his hands were not in another woman's pants.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay.
That's a good question. Fair question.
I've seen it.
How do you do-si-do without having your hands on another woman's ass? I don't know how to do it. I'm so sorry for how I offended my wife publicly. What you're upset about is that someone had a camera. Is what you're upset about, not what you were doing. In any event, Urban Meyer was spotted in central Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So unless he's handicapping Bucknell's game this week, my goodness, he's talking to Penn State, which would make complete sense and be totally, on brand for Urban Meyer to immediately insert himself into the most attractive college football opening in the land. Like, that is the job to get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if Urban dusts off the old resume and convinces Penn State, I'm the answer. Because Penn State needs to make a deal with the devil if they want to win a national championship.
Yeah.
You can already recruit there. He comes with national championships. He's done it in multiple schools now. Urban Meyer goes to Penn State. The Penn State cult members go crazy.
Yeah, they would. Now, Big Noon, the show he works on, is in Indiana this week.
Okay, second team in the country.
Yeah, so was he there on the way they're playing UCLA? Like, why is he in Pennsylvania if his work is... It has to be...
I just told you why. He was either trying to discover the tracks of Louis Mangione and go to the McDonald's he got caught in, or he's applying for the Penn State job.
Right.
You got to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Nobody goes to central Pennsylvania because they want to.
Right. The question was really, why else would he be there?
No, I've answered the question. Because he wants people to think he's in the running for the Penn State job.
I don't think they're going to hire him.
I think he'd be on a very short list.
I don't think
If he's like,
so.
I'll give you 5 years. I can't promise you 6, but I'll give you 5, and I want $15 million a year to do it. Penn State would say, thank you, sir, you got it. Speaking of money, apparently Florida has offered Lane Kiffin $13.5 million a year to become the highest paid coach in college football, and they're trying to get him to leave Ole Miss, where he could win a national championship this year, to go down to Florida. And they've offered to make him, according to reports, the highest paid head coach in football. And look, I love Cignetti in Indiana because he built a program out of nothing and deserves the money he's getting. But I've always been a Lane Kiffin guy. I think at some point you got to stop chasing the next job. Lane Kiffin can be at Ole Miss for 20 years. He's that good. He and his wife have reconciled. They love the campus lifestyle. His daughter's in Mississippi now. I know Florida's appealing, and Florida's a great place to recruit, but sometimes I think the grass isn't always greener. And unless there's something about Ole Miss that he detests, and I find it hard to believe that he would, at some point, the Rolling Stones got to stop. Papa's got to say, I found my home, I'm staying there.
I get
That's just my take.
Now, the other side would say he's yet to make the playoff, while Cignetti did it in Indiana. And that maybe if they don't make it this year, if they don't, because that's when he'd have to make the decision, perhaps he thinks the path to a national title
is in Florida?
Is still better in Florida
Yeah.
if he doesn't get this team or last year's team, which were really good, into that play.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss will also do right by him financially. He'll get a raise.
They'll match
get an
that.
extension.
Yeah, they'll match that.
They'll make him the highest paid coach. They got the money to do it.
They'll pay it.
I just look. I always look at my own life and like chances I took, jobs I left for other jobs. There's a risk involved every time you do that. Money's the equalizer. There are risks that are worth taking because the money's so good and guaranteed. So you do make decisions like that. But man, at some point, be happy where you're at. Florida, in my opinion, is not infinitely a better job than Ole Miss.
It's not.
Ole Miss is great, and you're great there, and it's your program, and you could be there for 25 years. If I was advising him, I tell Ole Miss, just match what they offer me. I don't want to leave. I can't turn down 10, 20, 30 extra $1 million, just lifestyle-wise. Not that he's a pauper, he's not, but at some point, life's good where you're at. Just stay there, man. Stop chasing the next job. The next one, big UFC card this weekend. And the UFC got back into business with the right type of female fighter. If you go back when Dana White first accepted women as fighters, because for a long time he said, I will never have a women's fight on any UFC card.
Till Ronda Rousey happened.
Ronda Rousey, who's an attractive woman, started fighting, and Misha Tate, an attractive woman, started fighting, and men were like, so he's like, all right, I can get some out of these guys.
Yeah.
He's found another one.
Well, she's not new.
We
she's
don't care how
new.
they fight. We care how they look. That's why Cyborg never fought in the UFC, because she's ugly.
She did.
Right?
She did. She lost.
I mean, when she was 90, she did, right?
Yeah.
So what's this girl's name?
Mackenzie Dern.
Mackenzie Durnham. What's up? What's up? Now it's a rematch against another gal.
Yes.
Who don't look like that.
Does not look like that.
So my money's on that.
Mackenzie lost the last time to this girl. She won this time.
But Dana's not stupid. If women are going to fight and bloody each other up, make sure one of them looks good.
Yeah, the crazy part is Mackenzie Dern, you just saw the picture. She's Brazilian with that name.
I don't care what she is.
No. What the hell the kind of Brazilian name is Mackenzie Dern?
Maybe her pops was like a GI and he was stationed in Brazil.
She stayed. She's got a Brazilian accent when she speaks. Doesn't make any sense.
I just hope ICE doesn't go after her.
No, we can't lose her.
No, I think the fight's in Abu Dhabi anyway.
Oh, this should be safe. Oh, thank God. Because we can't lose her. If we lose her, we got nothing. We need her badly.
Well, no, if we lose her, we do have something else. It was announced yesterday that following in the footsteps of Angel Reese, one of the other gals in the WNBA who wants to be a Victoria's Secret model. And again, I signed up for this one too. She's like 6 foot.
Yes, she's 6 foot.
Let's take a look at Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham wants to be in Victoria's Secret. And again, she's better at that than playing basketball.
she's on
I'll
a
tell you this,
team.
though. I don't want to hear about women in the WNBA complaining about being subjectified ever again. Because if that's your deal, I'm all in for it. Matter of fact, if you played in that, I might watch a WNBA game.
Well, I don't know how she playing those boots, but the rest of it, sure, she got to still wear the kicks. She claims that this was her dream more than basketball.
I think it's great, and more power to the women for feeling good about their self-image. And final thing, I take off my Nick hat. As you know, we had a poll up starting last week. I don't know who to root for in the World Series, Toronto or the LA Dodgers. Well, I said I'd respect the poll, whatever the results of the poll were, and it was 3-1 in favor of me rooting for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow.
And that's because the Dodgers left Brooklyn. So, all right, Blue Jays, let's go win ourselves a World Series for the first time in 32 years. Chauncey Billups, a lawyer, has publicly made a statement, quote, anyone who knows Chauncey Billups knows he's a man of integrity. Men of integrity do not cheat and defraud others. Whoa, if it comes back that he's guilty, that statement's going to be on his tombstone. To believe that Chauncey Billups did what the federal government is accusing him of is to believe that he would risk his Hall of Fame legacy, his reputation, and his freedom. He would not jeopardize those things for anything, let alone a card game. Furthermore, Chauncey has never and would never gamble on basketball games, provide insider information, or sacrifice the trust of his team and the league, as it would tarnish the game he's devoted his entire life to. Chauncey Billups has never backed down. He does not plan to do so now. He will fight these allegations with the same tenacity that marked his 28-year career. We look forward to our day in court. That's the lawyer's job. What the lawyer doesn't know yet is all the evidence the government allegedly has.
Yeah.
Because there are at least 8 unindicted co-conspirators who ratted Chauncey out and ratted Rozier out and ratted Damon out. And he has no idea all the information yet because the government hasn't had to produce it just yet. And I think, look, that's what you come out and say right away. You always say, not guilty, not guilty. You're out of your minds. He would never do that stuff. And then they drop off files and files of discovery on your lawyer's desk. And then you have to have a different conversation with your lawyer about the evidence they have in their possession. Now, maybe you have an answer for everything. Maybe the answer is, yes, I played in those games. Yes, I recruited guys to play in those games. Did I know the guys running the games were cheating? No. I merely got an appearance fee because guys wanted to play cards with me and take pictures with me. But at no point was I in on it. I mean, that's a fair defense.
Yeah.
Guys get appearance money all the time. We do in radio. I'm sure athletes do all the time. Do a card signing. Hey, you'd like to play poker? I'll pay you $5,000 to play in a poker game. Yeah, that happens. But what they don't know yet is all the evidence. And remember, to get an indictment, a grand jury has to say yes to the evidence they see. And of course, there's no defense in a grand jury hearing. It's only the prosecution. You're not even represented in there. And they give them a little taste of everything. And is it enough to get an indictment? And then they pour everything on the table. So this is going to take years, by the way, to play out. Unless there's an immediate plea deal, this is going to play itself out over the course of 2 or 3 years.
The issue I'm also wondering is if what you just said is correct about Chauncey and that's his defense, who was writing the checks? Because if it was the mob,
I'm assuming it's cash, but go ahead, play out that it's a check.
I'm saying, well, who's paying him? What I'm saying is if it's the mob, and that's what the federal government said, that the mob was the one paying him, you didn't know where that money was coming from, Chauncey, and that's part I think is going to be a high hurdle.
Yeah, look, he's associated at the best with some bad people, and I'm not casting stones. I did as well.
Right.
So I get it, and I'm probably more apt to talk about this and the inside aspect of this than just about anybody. Not that I want to, but I respect the fact that people come to me because of my history. But this is going to play out over years. This is going to play out. He'll put in a no guilty plea. And then at some point, his lawyer is going to talk to the government and the FBI, and they're going to decide what they want to do. And then there's going to be the question, reputationally, are you willing to throw other guys under the bus? Because if you're guilty, other people that are doing it that you can probably help the government put away. And then, how do people react to that? So there's lots of layers to this, but it's not going away anytime soon, and gambling's not going away either. And speaking of which, it's kind of an awkward thing. Look, I'm a compulsive gambler. I don't promote gambling. I do say this: if you're going to gamble, great. Do it responsibly. Do it recreationally. Do what you can afford. Don't do more than what you can afford. And if you've come up with a bet that you love, okay, bet it. And if you lose it, don't start throwing your money at other things that you know less about. With that, Tyrone is coming off a tough week, but he's having a great year. Has his thoughts on the weekend.
Yes, indeed. We'll start in college this week. Oklahoma at home against Ole Miss, as you talked about Lane Kiffin earlier in the show. I like Oklahoma minus the 5.5 versus Ole Miss at home. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2 in the NFL. You have the Dolphins. They've been terrible. They're at the Falcons. I like the Falcons minus 7.5 to cover. And the last one, the Dallas Cowboys offense is tremendous. Their defense is the worst I've literally ever seen in my life. And for that reason, I like the Broncos minus 3.5 versus the Cowboys. Those are my 3 picks. Bad week last week, but I'm 15-5 overall. I think we're back in the winning.
Cowboys trying to get over 500, which they have not been yet this year. I can't tell you the last time the Cowboys were over 500, to be honest. That game's out in Denver. And I just want to check real quick. Yep, it's confirmed. The New York Jets are going to be 0-8. Yeah, I just checked.
You checked that? They had that written up already?
They're playing at Cincinnati. Old man Flacco. Yeah. With a chance for the Bengals to get to 500 and be another team that's nipping at the Chiefs' heels to try to get into the playoffs. And remember this, as you enjoy your weekend, wherever you might be, when you wake up tomorrow and when you wake up on Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs are not playoff eligible right now. They're on the outside looking in. Have a great weekend. We'll do this again on Monday. Have a blessed weekend, and thank you for watching The Carton Show.